FPL game week 20. After 6 deadlines in 26 days in December, we have another deadline to look forward to on the 4th of January, which is on Saturday, 2025. So happy new year, everybody. In today's video, we'll be going through my favorite players to buy, a game week 20 wildcard draft, as the second wildcard is now available, as well as some injury and suspension updates. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and as you can see they did go green, but we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in my team selection video. But today's video is about the Vert verified power ranking, a game week 20 wildcard draft, which you can skip ahead to if you want as well. But we're going to be starting with some injuries and suspension updates. And West Ham captain Jarrod Bowen sustained a fractured foot injury to his left foot in the match against Liverpool in game week 19. The website says that he'll be out until the new year, so he's definitely a sale if you still own him. Of course, he's a mid-priced asset, so he's not someone that you just want to keep on the bench. So we'll be talking about his replacements. And of course, Matheus Cunha was finally given his sentence for the charge that was followed the end of the Ipswich game quite a while ago, on the 14th of December, about 2 weeks ago. I think the FA were out of office enjoying their holiday, but they finally came back to office to give him a 2-match suspension. So he only will miss one Premier League game, as the other match will be served in the FA Cup. So you probably can bench Cunha if you want to, but he still does not have the best fixtures going long term either. So we can discuss his replacements as well. And probably the most important piece of information in terms of suspension, Morgan Rogers, following his goal and assist in game week 19 against Brighton, he found himself getting his 5th yellow card in the last match that would have given him a suspension. So he's going to sit out the Leicester at home game, which is a bit of annoying, but that's all right, we can just find solutions. And Duran will also be missing the Leicester fixture due to his red card, and so we can discuss what kind of opportunity that opens up as well. So into the Vert verified power ranking, my top 5 for the next 5 across all the positions. And of course we start with the goalkeepers. And Sells of Nottingham Forest just continues to return. In fact, he's the highest scoring goalkeeper in the whole game now. And of course Nottingham Forest and Liverpool are both tied for most clean sheets in the league. They both kept 8, so they're both league leading. And of course, yeah, you can tell that the underlying metrics prove that, this is not a fluke, that this is actually very sustainable performance. Of course, he's got a mixed set of fixtures coming up. He has Liverpool in the next 2 weeks. But I think, in terms of value, he's definitely number 1 pick. But as I mentioned personally before, I think Alisson is where I would go. Not even just because of the double game week that is coming up for Liverpool, which is scheduled to be around 24 and 25, so you definitely want to be tripled up on Liverpool assets. I also think, over the long run, Liverpool will keep more clean sheets. I know they're tied right now, but you look at the expected goals conceded per 90, and I think, Liverpool, you would expect Liverpool to keep more clean sheets than Nottingham Forest. And that's no slight on Nottingham Forest either. They were second before Arsenal won today, so they're doing very well this year. And then the rest of the list, Pickford's doing well, but he's no Sells, and then obviously Sells is actually cheaper than Pickford, so there's no real reason why you would go there. Dubravka's doing very well. He's actually kept a clean sheet. He's averaging 6 points per match because he's kept 4 successive clean sheets now. But of course, he's not a long-term fix because Nick Pope is the starter, and we don't actually know how long he's going to be out for. And then Raya, he's 5th because he's still a good goalkeeper, but he's actually the most expensive goalkeeper, and he's not getting the most points. So yeah, I would still have Sells at number 1, but Alisson would be my personal preference. Then into the defenders, and I actually said in my last video that it was the first time in 3 game weeks that Lewis Hall didn't get a bonus. He must have heard what I said, because he delivered his second double-digit return in 4 game weeks, combining an assist with a clean sheet at Old Trafford to scoop a maximum bonus. So Lewis Hall is for sure number 1 on the power ranking at the moment, and as you can see, he's averaging quite a lot of points for his price, and he's risen quite a lot. Of course, I got him at 4.3, but 4.8 is still a budget option in my eyes for what you're getting, as a starting left back for a team that is keeping a number of clean sheets. Of course, I mentioned previously that Liverpool and Nottingham Forest kept 8 clean sheets, while Newcastle have kept 7, so they're doing very well defensively as well. And of course, Trent reminded us all why he's a premium. Of course, we know what he's capable of. I know he hasn't put up a lot of goal contributions this year, but he's still capable of scoring from range. He's still capable of pulling out assists in away games against Tottenham. And that's precisely why Real Madrid are interested in him. But that's a discussion for another day. Ola Aina is number 3 because he scooped bonus again and yet another clean sheet from Nottingham Forest. And he just seems to be really good value for money. He's a bit more expensive now, but I still think I would go there. Or maybe you can go for Nico Williams if you want to get a slice of Nottingham Forest's defence. Trevor Chalobah is on here because he has now scored 3 goals in the Premier League. The only defender that scored more goals than Chalobah is actually Cavadio. So he's doing very well in front of goal. And it seems like he can, keep it up with the fixtures that are coming up. Of course, Chelsea's not the best fixture, but it's his old club. So if you had to play him, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I would be benching him if it was a wildcard draft, for example. And of course, Gabriel is number 5 because he's just an absolute demon from set pieces. Arsenal scored from yet another set piece today, and he actually put up high XA expected assists figure today. So I think Gabriel is just an automatic pick in every team. Into the midfielders, and yes, you guessed it, Mohamed Salah is still number 1 on the power ranking. He's now crossed 200 points in 19 game weeks, and Liverpool have only played 18 matches. So the form he's in, it's just automatic captain territory. So whenever you're setting up your team, just start with Captain Salah and then move on next. Into the second on the power ranking, and it's going to be Anthony Gordon because he's only got 1 blank in his last 7 game weeks. So he's ticking along very nicely. Of course, he got an assist. He could have had a lot more, really. I mean, of course, Newcastle just came to score a few goals and then they sort of switched off because it was a bit too easy. That's the level of opposition that Man United are providing at the moment. So if you're thinking about going against Mohamed Salah because he's playing at Manchester United, do not do that. Gibbs White is on here as well because he's only got 1 blank in his last 5 game weeks and his underlying numbers don't quite match up to Anthony Gordon's. And the problem with Gibbs White is that he doesn't really score enough. Doesn't really get the final action either, but he is in great form, so he definitely deserves a place on the power ranking for sure, and he's got the fixtures to continue. Of course, Ismaila Sarr, he did blank in game week 19 against Southampton, which was pretty much a target fixture for anyone that was interested, but he did have 1 big chance created and he also had 1 big chance missed. He also racked up 0.95 expected goal involvements in game week 19, so he's definitely one to keep and stick with if you bought him already, and I'd buy him new, especially at the price. And into Palmer, of course, he has been quiet. He's only got 1 goal in his last 4 games, but he has put up at least 0.41 expected goal involvement in each of the last 4. So I think he's definitely worth sticking with, maybe not worth captaining if you're thinking about going against Salah for sure. And finally, into the forwards, and it is Alexander Isak still retaining his number 1 spot, just like Salah. He's the de facto number 1 pick you should be going for after Salah. Of course, he scored yet again. It looked a bit too easy, and he also missed a pretty big opportunity. I think, like I said, it maybe was a bit too easy for Newcastle because it was very lax error of judgment for the chance that he took. He just tried to chip Onana from a very silly height. So yeah, but of course he's in form. He's got 112 points now. He's the most informed forward in the game at the moment. So go there if you haven't already. And then it gets a bit more interesting because, of course, Chris Wood, he was a bit quiet recently, but he just pops up with a 12-pointer out of nowhere. And he now has crossed 100 points, which is a great season for him, and it definitely can continue with Wolves away next. Of course, Liverpool at home is not ideal, but then it's Southampton at home. So those of us with Pedro, of course, Pedro did get 9 points in this game week, but he's not really scoring goals at the moment. So if you're looking elsewhere, I think it's down to Wood and Jesus. So it's definitely one to monitor. Of course, Jesus does put up the better numbers, but Wood is for sure the better finisher. So it's going to be down to personal preference, or maybe we just get both. We don't know at the moment. And of course, I've got Watkins here because if you are wildcarding new, or if you've just got a lot of free transfers and you want to jump on someone for 1 week, as mentioned already, John Duran is suspended. So Ollie Watkins should be starting, and of course he delivered 12 points in his last match against Brighton, and he's playing a promoted side in Leicester City in game week 20. So I would go there on wildcard for sure, and you'll see in the draft as well. Of course the fixtures after that are not the best, and Duran comes back into the selection as well after that. So definitely a 1 week punt, I'll go for Watkins. And then finally Gakpo, he's been on my list as well because we're not too sure about his minutes. Of course Liverpool have got quite a lot of attackers and he hasn't actually nailed down a starting spot yet, but he's ticking along quite nicely. Obviously he's not having that many points, but it's not the best fixtures either. But I do think Gakpo is worth a mention. And finally, into the wildcard draft. Most of the time I do a wildcard draft just to see, like, you know, the optimal players going forward. But of course, the second wildcard chip is now available, so if you had to play it, you could. Of course, this is a strong disclaimer, I am not thinking about playing my wildcard in gameweek20. The earliest would be gameweek 30. Of course, we can do a chip strategy video, and we will be once the double game weeks are announced. But definitely hold on to your wildcard if you can. But yeah, as mentioned, yeah, this is what a wildcard game week 20 draft would look like if I was making it today. And of course, we would have sales and goal, because I'm tired of arguing with people about premium goalkeepers. But we do have sales at goalkeeper, and then we have Trent, Gabriel, which is they just pick themselves, as do Salah, Palmer, and Isak. Of course, Watkins is a 1 week punt because it's Leicester at home and Duran's not going to be available, so he should be playing. And then Wood is here because he's in better form. He's displayed form for longer time than Jesus, but of course this can be revisited. We could probably just go Watkins to Jesus if Jesus does continue to perform. And then of course, yes, we do have Gordon and Isak and Hall as the Newcastle triple up. Tottenham away on paper, not the best fixture, but the way Tottenham have been playing this year, I think it's definitely worth tripling up on Newcastle for Tottenham away. And of course, we've got Castagna as well. He's got Ipswich at home, and he's just a very cheap option, as Kenny Tete of Fulham is now out. So Castagna should, by process of elimination, be starting in the Fulham team. Yeah, and then of course we do have Rodgers on the bench because he found himself suspended. Maybe he wanted to have New Year's Day, New Year's Eve off, who knows. But yeah, this is the wildcard draft I will be going for. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and of course you can DM me, and make sure you follow me on my socials as well, where I post my team, my thoughts as well. And I will see you later for my team selection. Great, thanks.